And now we are going to discuss in detail micronutrients, zinc, copper, molybdenum, chloride, nickel, and certain beneficial nutrients. And learning objective is to know the deficiency symptoms and corrective measures of these nutrients, and also discuss the role of certain beneficial nutrients in plant growth. Terminology, most of you are aware of these kind of terminology. You can read it later. But I would like to discuss zincated urea. So zincated urea is in the market, and it is a mixture of urea containing zinc as a micronutrient material, or a mixture of urea with zinc sulfate heptahydrate. It can be made either by dry mixing, bulk blending, or coating common fertilizers such as ammonium nitrate or urea. So zincated urea is actually urea when urea is coated with zinc oxide. The coating agent is zinc oxide, which contains about 80-81% of zinc. Zinc oxide is used for coating of urea, and it is there in the fertilizer control order, and it should have a minimum of how much zinc? Minimum of 2%, I think. Minimum of 2% zinc should be there by weight in zincated urea. And there are certain fertilizers like zinc chelates, zinc frites. So zinc chelates are very important for foliar spray. Zinc chelates is an inorganic complex in which a ligand like EDTA is bound to the zinc ion at more than 2 points so that the metal ion becomes part of the ring of atoms. The zinc EDTA complex is an example. So this is a source of zinc EDTA, and used for foliar spray. Similarly, zinc frites are there. Zinc frites, Frits, zinc frites, these are the frites with zinc as the main micronutrient. Fusing salts of zinc with glass or glass compounds forms zinc frites. We will discuss the zinc fertilizer and see the essential role of zinc. It is required directly or indirectly by several enzyme systems. It is necessary for formation of auxins like indole acetic acid, in protein synthesis, and in seed production. So it has got multiple role in plant growth, and it is believed to promote RNA synthesis or protein synthesis, which in turn is needed for protein production. Now, zinc deficiency is experienced when zinc levels are generally less than 20 milligram per kg dry matter. This is the critical limit for zinc deficiency. Uh, Interveinal yellowing on young leaves. Remember, it is deficiency comes on young leaves. Many times people say that zinc deficiency symptoms come on older leaves. No, they come mainly on the upper leaves or young leaves or up to the middle part of the plant. They start from the top of the plant because it is immobile, less mobile nutrient in the plant system. And chocolate brown burned up rice plants. These are the typical deficiency symptoms of Khera disease. You should remember, if I ask you what are the deficiency symptoms of Khera disease in rice, so you can remember they are chocolate brown, burned up. Burned up means brown color. When they are burnt, they look like brown color. So chocolate brown, burned up rice plants. These are the typical symptoms. In the beginning, you will have spots which are brown in color or chocolate brown in color, and these spores will spread further. They will increase their size, and then the whole leaf, they will spread to or they will cover the whole leaf, and it will turn brown. So these are the typical symptom of zinc deficiency. And white bud is in maize is also there, some disease. And toxicity occurs when the levels are more than 200 milligram per kg dry matter. So the range is 20 to 200, you can remember. And excess zinc may cause iron deficiency in some plants. Now, zinc deficiency symptoms in cereal, we just see in detail. So mobility of zinc is low. So mobility to younger tissue is depressed in zinc deficient plants. Stunted plant growth, poor tilling, light green, yellowish, bleached spots, chlorotic bands on either side of the midrib in monocots, in maize. Brown rusty spots on leaves in some crops, which in acute zinc deficiency, as in rice, may cover the lower leaves. Means it can start from top and it can go to the lower leaves also. And particularly in case of rice, when you go for transplanting, there are hardly 4 or 5 leaves. There are hardly five, maybe 5 leaves. Seedling has 5 leaves. And it takes about 8 days time to establish. So if there was no sufficient zinc, then all the leaves will show you zinc deficiency symptoms. Internodes are short, flowering, fruiting, and maturity can be delayed. Shoots may die off and leaves can fall prematurely. Zinc toxicity can result in reduction in root growth and leaf expansion, followed by chlorosis. If we just restrict to rice, then in rice, between 2 to 4 weeks after transplanting, deficiency symptoms are visible. Dusty brown spots on upper leaves, uneven plant growth, and patches of poorly established hills are observed, means the death of tillers or death of seedlings can occur. Increased spikelet sterility, chlorotic midribs near the leaf base of younger leaves, and leaves lose turgor and turn brown as brown blotches, and leaf blade size is reduced. So almost all the growth parameters are affected. Now see the critical soil levels for occurrence of zinc deficiency. So this question is usually asked from the students. What are the critical levels for in soil as well as critical level in plant for zinc toxicity or zinc deficiency? So in this case, you need to remember that for its soil, it is 0.6 milligrams zinc per kg soil. Or you can say zero point 0.6 ppm is the critical level of zinc in soil if the extracting agent is ammonium acetate. If extracting agent is your extractant is your DTPA, then critical level in soil is 0.8 milligram. So you can remember these two values, zero point 0.6 when you have ammonium acetate as the extractant and zero point 0.8 milligram zinc per kg when DTPA is the extractant. And maybe 1 milligram when your 0.05 normal HCl is the extractant or 1.5 milligram. So you don't bother about remaining. Just remember the first two, ammonium acetate 0.6 ppm or DTPA, it is 0.8 ppm critical level of zinc in soil. Now, depending upon the zinc level, zinc deficiency status of plant. Now you see in plant what happens if it is less than 10 milligram or 10 ppm in the plant, it is across all the plants. Then there is definite zinc deficiency. If it is 10 to 15 milligram or 10 to 15 ppm, very likely zinc deficient. If it is 15 to 20 milligram per kg, likely zinc deficient. If it is more than 20 milligram, then it is unlikely, means you have sufficient levels. Therefore, 20 is in general is the critical level in plant. 20 ppm means if it is less than 20 ppm, then it is low zinc or critical level of zinc. The ratio of phosphorus is to zinc and iron is to zinc is also important. The ratio of phosphorus is to zinc because these two nutrients have antagonistic effect, phosphorus and zinc in general, and similarly iron and zinc. So the ratio of phosphorus zinc and iron zinc in the shoot at tilling to the PI stage are good indicator of zinc deficiency. So people have fixed some ratio of these elements. So value should not exceed. For phosphorus and zinc, it should be 20 to 60 is to 1 in shoots at 6 weeks after transplanting. Iron is to zinc is 5 to 7 is to 1. in shoots at 6 weeks after planting. So you can see just, for example, iron and zinc. So the levels of irons are roughly 5 to 7 times more than the zinc in the plant. So it should be 5 to 7:1 ratio. If it is higher ratio, that means your plant is suffering from zinc deficiency. See the zinc deficiency symptom in different crops. You may be more interested in rice. You can see dusty brown spots are there, and these spots will spread and cover the whole leaf, and whole leaf will turn brown. You can see top right picture, the many leaves have turned brown. First they are yellow, and then they have turned brown. See the transplanted crop of rice. It is having a sparse population. Certain tillers or certain, sorry, seedlings have died in this. See the close-up of iron zinc deficiency in rice. Close picture of zinc deficiency. Now, what are the areas that are affected by deficiency of the zinc? So, as usual, soils with coarse texture, high pH. High pH is not conducive for zinc availability, and high calcium carbonate and low organic matter. These are the areas or soils where you will find zinc deficiency. Acid-leached sandy and sandy loam soils, high available P and manganese soils, soils where you have very high levels of available phosphorus and manganese, and soils irrigated with sodic waters. When topsoil is removed during leveling or lost through the erosion, if topsoil is removed or lost through erosion, then also you will experience zinc deficiency. Why this zinc deficiency happens? A small amount of available zinc in the soil. There is no zinc at all in the soil, then definitely you will have zinc deficiency. Planted varieties are susceptible to zinc deficiency. Somebody was speaking about it, that we do not have varieties or good varieties that can extract zinc under low zinc availability. So we need some efficient genotypes, efficient zinc use genotypes. And also we are harvesting a lot of cereal crops. 8 to 10 tons of cereals are harvested per year, per hectare soil. Then it removes larger parts of zinc also. So high pH may be the reason, 7 or alkaline under anaerobic conditions. Solubility of zinc decreased by 2 orders for each unit increase in pH. Means as you increase the pH towards alkalinity, the availability of zinc decreases. Precipitated as sparingly soluble zinc hydroxide when pH increases. If you increase the pH, it will precipitate as zinc hydroxide in when pH increases in acid soil following flooding. Formation of zinc phosphate following large use of phosphorus fertilizer. High P content in irrigation water means only in areas with polluted water. So that is the problem. Many times people say that phosphorus and zinc, they interact. So their interaction is dependent upon the ideal level. If you have ideal levels of phosphorus and zinc, the right proportion of phosphorus and zinc in soil, their effect on each other is synergistic. They have positive effect on each other. They help each other. But if there is some imbalance in their ratios in soil, if suppose you have very high level of phosphorus and very low level of zinc, then it is antagonistic effect. Under these conditions, phosphorus will further suppress the uptake of zinc. And if you have very high levels of zinc and less level of phosphorus in soil, in this case, this zinc will suppress the availability and uptake of phosphorus. So whosoever is relatively in large amount, large number, or large size will suppress the other. But if they are in ideal ratios or Uh, if they are at optimum levels, then there is no problem with each other. They are friends. But if one gets more power, they will become enemy. I tell you one example when the zinc came into the news, when farmers started applying zinc. So there was a farmer who applied because he did not know. So he applied zinc fertilizer, zinc sulfate at the rate of urea. Suppose urea is applied 200 kilograms per hectare. Then he applied 200 kilogram of zinc sulfate per hectare. And then he transplanted his paddy crop. And after some days, all the seedlings died because level of zinc was too high and it made your phosphorus unavailable. It made your whole phosphorus unavailable, and also some other elements like iron was made unavailable. So because of this, his soil was has become infertile, you can say. And then after many years of treatment, soil treatment by adding organic manures, farmyard manure, and putting so much of water, he could reclaim his soil. But it took very long time to remove the toxicity of zinc from the soil. So this formation of zinc phosphate can happen if you have too much of zinc or higher zinc availability. Then it is formation of zinc phosphate following large use of P fertilizer. So in this case, it is other way around. High P content in irrigation water only in areas with polluted water. High bicarbonate concentration because of reducing condition in calcareous soils. In calcareous soil, you have calcium carbonate. So you may have high levels of bicarbonate also with high organic matter content or because of large concentration of bicarbonate in irrigation water. Under these conditions, zinc availability will decrease. Formation of complexes between zinc and organic matter. That is another means of reduced zinc supply. Formation of complexes between zinc and organic matter in soils with high pH and high organic matter, where you apply high quantity of organic manures and crop residues. Under those conditions also zinc availability decreases. Precipitation of zinc as zinc sulfide when pH decreases in alkaline soil following flooding. So if you have alkaline soil and put some water into it, then there will be formation of hydrogen sulfide, which will reduce the availability of zinc. And excess liming. Excess liming can also decrease the availability of zinc. Now you see response to zinc. What happens when farmers or when people apply zinc to the soil? So based on 15,000 trials on research station, Singh reported the average response of different groups of crops as follows. Means how much yield increase is there due to application of zinc in India. So you can see in cereals there is about 420 to 550, or you can say 400 to 500 kilogram grain per hectare increase because of application of zinc. So uh, there was about 15.7 to 23% increase over no zinc application. So here zinc application increased the yields of cereals. In pulses also it increased the yield 170 to 460 kilogram grain per hectare over no zinc, means additional yield. So zinc application was useful. Similarly, in oil seeds also, the range was 110 to 360 kilogram grains per hectare. In fodder crops also there was increase. So overall, what you can see that the application of zinc in soils increased the grain yield and it produced some additional grain yield, which ranged differently in different crops. Now you see zinc in soils, the behavior of zinc in soil. So total zinc in world soils ranges between 10 to 300 milligram per kg with an average of 50 milligram per kg. So you can consider that soils contain about 50 milligram per kg zinc. These are the average values of zinc. In general, light sandy soils may contain 31 to 61 milligram zinc per kg, while heavy soils contain 35 to 75 ppm zinc. Total zinc in Indian soils is reported to be 47 milligram per kg in NT soils. So they also content also varies with the soil. So in NT soil it may be about 47 milligram, in inceptizole 60, in your erythrozoles 61, in vertizoles 63, in alphizoles 43, and so on. So these are some just to give you some rough idea, some idea that levels of zinc in soil are in milligram or in ppm, and they can be somewhere around 30 to 50, you can say 30 to 50 or 30 to 60 milligram zinc per kg soil. Most zinc is present as insoluble compounds and is unavailable to plants. That is the problem with the zinc. Only exchangeable zinc on clay minerals, hydrous oxides of aluminum and iron and organic matter particle, means somehow part of the zinc is attached to the colloids in the soil and it contribute to the soil solution zinc. So from exchange sites, it can go to the soil solution and become available to the plant. But that quantity is very small fraction of total zinc. Exchangeable zinc in Indian soils varies from zero point 0.1 to 2 milligram per kg. This is important. So zinc in soil solution at any time is very little, very small, and tends to be in equilibrium with the exchangeable zinc. You have exchangeable zinc, you have solution zinc. So they are in equilibrium. Barber reported that zinc in soil solution varies from 10 to the power minus 10 molar to 10 to the power minus 6 molar. Very, very small fraction in soil solution. Carroll and Lorengan reported that 10 to the power minus 7 to 10 to the power minus 9 molar zinc levels in solution culture studies were found to be critical for plant growth. So he has gone up to the level of soil solution. Zinc deficiency is likely to occur in soils when soil solution zinc is between 10 to the power minus 10 to 10 to the power minus 8 molar. So this is by Lindsay. So Lindsay has been a quite famous scientist who worked on zinc, and he has given the method DTPA extraction method to estimate the zinc in soil. Lindsay. Now let us see in brief what are the factors that affect the zinc availability in soil. So for example, soil pH affects the zinc availability. The solubility of zinc decreases 100-fold for each unit increase in soil pH. Means as your soils become neutral to alkaline, more alkaline, then your zinc availability will decrease. Rupa and Tomar from Indian Institute of Soil Science, Bhopal, they reported from laboratory studies that the desorption of adsorbed P decreased with increasing pH and abruptly stopped at pH 7.5. So these alkaline soils are not good for zinc availability. Number two factor that affect the zinc availability is calcium carbonate levels. Calcium carbonate increases soil pH and sorbs zinc. It attracts zinc also on its surface and may form insoluble calcium zincate. And these Papadonopoulos and Rowell reported that zinc could be held on calcium carbonate surface as zinc hydroxycarbonate. So it can form as, it can convert to the zinc hydroxycarbonate and the zinc availability is reduced. So this would explain why zinc deficiency is more prevalent on calcareous soils. So in calcareous soils, you know that zinc deficiency is quite common. Next factor that affect the zinc availability is amount of sodium, calcium, and magnesium. So both sodium and magnesium increase soil pH and also compete with calcium for absorption sites on plant roots. Katyal and Sharma reported reduced zinc uptake by plants in calcium and magnesium rich soils. So these levels of calcium, magnesium, and sodium influence the zinc availability. Higher being their level, low is the zinc availability. Similarly, phosphate levels. Zinc deficiency in corn is often aggravated by P fertilization, especially on calcareous soils. So if you increase phosphorus levels in soil, they can reduce the zinc availability. Zinc can form insoluble zinc phosphate when concentration of phosphate is high in the soil solution. However, this may still be available to the crop plants. In field studies in India, zincated superphosphate compared well with the zinc superphosphate as a source of zinc. Customized zincatase NPKs are produced and used in. These days, lot of value-added fertilizer products are coming in the market. Phosphate continues. The root colonization by AM fungi increases spatial availability of zinc similar to that of phosphorus. So many times we know that this AM fungi are responsible for phosphorus uptake, increased phosphorus uptake, but simultaneously it also increases zinc uptake. AM fungi are known to increase zinc uptake also. So mycorrhizal plants usually have higher zinc contents in the shoot dry matter and are less sensitive to zinc deficiency than non-mycorrhizal plants. Means if you have AM fungi, they can increase the not just availability and uptake of phosphorus, but zinc also. As a rule, all factors which impair root colonization by arbuscular mycorrhiza, including high levels of soil of fertilizer phosphorus, tend to decrease zinc contents in plants and increase the risk of zinc deficiency in plants grown on soils low in extractable zinc. Now, another factor which affects the zinc availability is your soil moisture. So soil moisture means what should be the level of moisture at which you will get maximum zinc availability. So adequate moisture in soil is necessary for zinc uptake. This is why zinc deficiency is more pronounced in dry regions. So in drier soils, you will get more zinc deficiency. Gao reported that zinc concentration in rice leaves at trilling as well as physiological maturity was low under alternate wetting and drying condition as compared to that under continuous flooding. Now you see water-soluble zinc availability decreases in flooded soil. So actually this zinc deficiency is major problem with the flooded soil, where you have transplanted puddled rice and you keep your soil ponded with water continuously. So under those conditions, zinc deficiency is more pronounced. So water-soluble zinc availability decreases in flooded soils. The decreased zinc concentration may be due to first thing is formation of zinc hydroxide or precipitation of zinc as zinc hydroxide as a result of increased pH after flooding. You know, whatever pH of the soil is there, when you flood the soil, the alkaline pH will come down to neutrality and the acidic pH will increase to the neutrality. So in any case, the soil will try to have pH around 7 after the flooding. When you keep your soils flooded for long time, the pH will come to neutrality. So in this case, precipitation of zinc hydroxide as a result of increased pH after flooding. So soil was basically acidic, but you increase the pH because of flooding of the water. Therefore, it was converted to zinc hydroxide. Precipitation of zinc carbonate due to carbon dioxide accumulation resulting from organic matter decomposition. So this carbon dioxide released due to organic matter decomposition will interact with zinc and convert to the zinc carbonate. And precipitation of zinc sulfide, high manganese concentration antagonize zinc absorption and translocation. So you will get reduced availability of zinc under flooded conditions. Now, root system is also important. More biomass of the root, more growth of the root, then they would be able to extract more zinc. If your root growth is not good, it cannot make best use of zinc and also of other nutrients. Now you see soil zinc deficiency status in agroecological subregions of India. So see the soils, the parts where you get more zinc deficiency, and overall you can remember that 50%, 44 to 50% Indian soils are deficient in zinc. Now, what can be done if you have zinc deficiency in the soil? Selection of zinc efficient varieties. In nursery, broadcast zinc sulfate in nursery seed bed. So one can go for broadcasting of zinc sulfate in the nursery seed bed. Crop establishment. At the time of transplanting, dip the seedling or pre-soak the seed. You can make a solution of the zinc sulfate and put your seed before sowing in the nursery or in the field. So one can prepare 2 to 4% zinc oxide suspension. So when you dissolve zinc oxide in water, it does not make a solution. It makes a suspension of 2 to 4%. And for this, you need to have 20 to 40 grams zinc oxide per liter of water. So this can be used. Soil application is most efficient, and soil application may vary from 25 to 60 kg zinc sulfate per hectare, depending upon the kind of soil and the conditions and the availability of the zinc. Of course, the mean values are 20 to 25 kg zinc sulfate per hectare, but it can be as high as 60 kilograms zinc sulfate per hectare. Or one can go for foliar spray of 0.5 to 1% zinc sulfate. And however, zinc sulfate should be neutralized with half the quantity of unslaked lime, particularly in broad-leaved crops. So what happens if you directly spray zinc sulfate without neutralizing its acidity? Then the leaf will be burnt. Burning of leaves can happen due to formation of sulfuric acid because it contains zinc and sulfate. So this sulfate can make your sulfuric acid and which will burn the leaves. So better to prepare a solution of equal quantity, this lime solution. Lime solution, suppose your zinc sulfate solution is 0.5%, then you prepare 0.25% solution of lime and then mix both and apply. Now you see high zinc rice variety. In India, it was the first variety, DRR Dhan 45, which was high zinc rice variety. I do not know, there may be some more varieties after this, but this one was the first variety which has higher zinc levels. DRR Dhan 45. DRR means Directorate of Rice Research Dhan. Now this DRR has been dissolved. Now it is Indian Institute of Rice Research. Now, after zinc, now I invite your question related to zinc, because if we go to the end, then we'll forget many things.
Yes, sir. Why
Yeah.
phosphorus defeat the zinc and and fire zinc for the deficiency? Is there any chemical specific reaction against the zinc that
You,
can be
you, you,
conducted by phosphorus?
your question is why phosphorus reduce the availability of zinc? Is it your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So actually, they are sometimes, I told you that this phosphorus and zinc, sometimes they are friends. Sometimes they are friends if their levels are optimum. If both are in good condition, in optimum level, then they help each other. But it problem comes when one gets higher concentration, one gets higher levels in soil. If you apply phosphorus at normal rates and zinc at normal rates, they are happy. But if the ratio of application or availability in soil changes, then the element or the nutrient which is dominating, which is large in number, large in availability, will suppress the other. That is the simple interaction. If you apply phosphatic fertilizer and your soils were deficient in zinc, so such soils will become further deficient in zinc because the compound formed will be the same. In the first case, when your phosphorus levels are high, this phosphorus will initiate to fix the zinc. And when the zinc levels are high, this zinc will initiate to fix the phosphorus. But they will make the same compound in both conditions. They will make the same compound because phosphorus and zinc are interacting. So any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in the slide number 30, it is mentioned that Gao et al. Reported that in the tillering stage and physiological maturity, the concentration of zinc is lower under alternate wetting and drying condition compared to the continuous flooding. So why it is having?
I think I just flashed it. There is some mistake in this. There is some mistake in this, or we need to see it. Because I just flashed that point. I did not emphasize that point. I need to see it again, dear. It does not look to be good because in most of the cases, it is mostly this continuous flooding where we get zinc deficiency. If we get alternate wetting and drying, in that case, there should not be zinc deficiency because under alternate wetting and drying, zinc availability will increase. Let me check that point. Slide number?
So 30.
30. Gao et al. Reported that zinc concentration in rice leaves at tilling as well as physiological maturity was lower under alternate wetting and drying conditions as compared to that under. Yeah, this point needs to be contested because theory generally says that the flooding will decrease the zinc availability. It is like this. Under aerobic conditions, there is no shortage of zinc. There is no problem of zinc availability. We are dealing with direct seeded rice also. And in direct seeded rice, in many conditions, there is no response to zinc. So it is mostly a matter of flooded soils. And this is somewhat a note in that line. And you just send me one email, and where this topic has been dealt in detail, in much detail, so that you can earn more knowledge on this subject. Please send me mail. I will send you one review paper on zinc, where this water and zinc availability are given in detail, much detail. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now we go to molybdenum. Molybdenum is involved in several enzyme systems, particularly nitrate reductase needed for reduction of nitrate, and nitrogenase. So it is part of nitrogenase, which is involved in biological nitrogen fixation. It is present in chloroplast of leaves, involved in absorption and translocation of iron in plants. So it has several roles. Now the primary minerals, molybdenum in soils. The primary mineral in the parent materials governed the amount of molybdenum in soil, but this amount will change by physical and chemical processes. Available fraction of molybdenum represent the molybdenum associated with clay minerals. Molybdenum sulfide, molybdenite is the only important ore for molybdenum. This is the ore, MOS2, molybdenite. Molybdenum deficiency generally occurs in highly podzolized soils. In acid soils, molybdenum is least soluble but readily mobilized in alkaline soils. So definitely this molybdenum is present in extremely small quantities. The levels may be less than 2 ppm, which is as adequate for plants. Its availability increases as the soil pH increases. So it is available more under alkaline pH, and its availability is less under acidic pH, acidic soil pH. When the molybdenum content of plant is less than 0.2 ppm, deficiency occurs. So in general, across the plants, the critical level of molybdenum is less than 0.2 ppm. Acidic soils, peat soils, and acidic sandy soils are generally deficient. Symptoms are closely related to nitrogen metabolism, as molybdenum is concentrated in nitrate reductase enzyme, particularly in legumes. Deformation of leaves can happen in cauliflower, whiptail of cauliflower, and in wheat, yellowing of leaves in acute deficiency empty heads. So these are the symptoms. Molybdenum deficiency resembles nitrogen deficiency in legumes because of the role of molybdenum played in nitrogen fixation. Stunting and yellowing of plants in legume crops, marginal scorching, curling, and crinkling of leaves, internal chlorosis, interveinal chlorosis, followed by the plant turning pale yellow and becoming stunted. In cauliflower, whiptail, and in cashew, the yellow leaf spot. And cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and citrus fruits are sensitive to low molybdenate levels. So you can see this picture, molybdenum deficiency in cauliflowers. Whiptail, it is also called as whiptail disease of cauliflower. Now, what can be done? How to correct the deficiency of molybdenum? Adding 40 to 400 grams, 40 to 400 gram of molybdenum. See, the rate of application is very small. 40 to 400 gram molybdenum per hectare. It is in grams. It is just like quantity of any herbicide, you know. Herbicides are applied at half kg or 1 kg per hectare. So molybdenum is applied at 40 to 400 gram molybdenum per hectare in soil. And it is difficult to spread so small quantities. Suppose you are applying 100 gram molybdenum. The fertilizer may be 200 gram. If fertilizer contains 50% molybdenum. So 200 gram application of 200 gram of fertilizer in 1 hectare. It is difficult soil application. So what you need to do, you can take some sand or soil and mix in that and then broadcast the mixture. So foliar spray of sodium molybdenate can be done. See, the concentration is very small, 0.03% concentration of sodium molybdenate. It is a good source of molybdenum on cashews. Soil is limed to increase plant uptake, because if you just lime the soil, then availability of molybdenum will increase. Ammonium molybdenate for potato rate of application is 1 kg per hectare in soil and 0.5 kg in 1000 liters of water for sprays and 200 gram for soaking seed tubers. A disease called pencil point, pencil cured by molybdenate. So this pencil point in coconut is due to molybdenum deficiency. Now chlorine. So far chlorine is concerned, it is generally not deficient in soil. Most of the soils across the globe, I think they have sufficient levels of chloride, because most of the situation farmers use or people use potassium chloride fertilizer. So this potassium chloride fertilizer contains sufficient quantity of chloride. Under certain cases, this chloride can be harmful to certain crops. So this chlorine is not very important so far deficiency is concerned. So it is thought to be involved in the production of oxygen during photosynthesis, in raising cell osmotic pressure, and in maintaining tissue hydration. It is abundantly available in seawater and in inland waters, ponds, lakes. It exists as a constituent of a large number of soil minerals. Among soils, the chloride content is higher in saline and alkali soils. fertilizers, irrigation water, atmosphere, and other amendments are the source of chloride for crop yields. So there is no deficiency of chloride in soils. So you need not to apply chloride. In soils, total content of chloride varies. So you go through this chloride, it is not that much important. But see the deficiency of chloride, wilting of leaf blade tips, followed by chlorosis, bronzing and necrosis, and restricted root growth. Chloride excess is an issue. So increased osmotic pressure of soil water, resulting in reduced availability of water to plants and consequently wilting. So it can reduce the availability of water to the crops. Plants develop leaf burn symptoms when chloride concentration in plants reaches about 0.5% of dry matter basis. So it can be toxic sometimes. You can see the symptoms of deficiency of chloride in wheat, in potato. Copper is involved in chlorophyll formation and is part of several enzymes such as cytochrome oxidase. You must have heard it, cytochrome oxidase. It participates in lignin formation, protein and carbohydrate metabolism, and is possibly required for symbiotic nitrogen fixation. So people hypothesize. Copper in soils, you can go through it, and generally ranges from 5 to 60 milligram per kg. So the range is similar to zinc, 30 to 60, but here it is 5 to 60. Now, in soils, copper is found mostly in the cupric form, absorbed by clay minerals as well as organic complexes. Copper, like any other element, is present in soil in 5 different forms. Soil solutions, surface adsorbed and exchangeable copper, associated with organic matter, associated with oxides and carbonates, as a component of primary minerals and secondary aluminosilicate minerals. So it is there in 5 different forms. Copper deficiency, youngest leaves become yellow and pale, eventually dead tissues appear along the tips and edges of leaves as in case of potassium. You can see the copper deficiency symptoms, and today I think content was very high. So I will finish in 2-3 minutes now. You can go through these deficiency symptoms, this presentation, and then nickel. And after nickel, you need to remember nickel is was proposed as essential element by Brown et al. 1987. And barley. In barley, it was necessary for viability of the seeds. And nickel is generally sufficient in soils. Whatever is required is there in the soil. It is being dealt mostly from the point of view of toxicity, not from the point of view of deficiency. So you can go through the nickel toxicity symptoms, and these are the beneficial nutrients like sodium, silicon, cobalt, vanadium, aluminum, and lanthanum. So you can go through the role of these beneficial elements and just see this presentation. Thank you very much. Now your questions. If any question is there, it was a bit lengthy presentation, so it was not possible to cover in 1 hour. So now if you have any short questions, you can ask. Any question? So we meet at 10:15. We meet at 10:15, 15 minutes break. So, Pulomi, could you stop the recording? Hello?